Hey, Mike, I maintain this was dope. Brady Scott. See, we talked about for better or worse in sickness and in health when it came to Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend.
Yeah.
This the same thing.
Yeah, right.
This is for better or worse.
Oh.
This man, at the lowest moment in recent Florida State Seminole football memory, decided to propose.
Yeah.
That is dope. You are such a romantic. I don't understand how you don't agree with me on this. That's a statement proposal.
Part of romance and being a romantic is having timing. It's timing, Michael. That is not. Look, I know that was your plan. So what you're telling me, brother, is you're not flexible. So hey, it's the plan.
No.
I'm gonna go with it, no matter what happens. What he thought was going to happen. Tell you what happened.
That he got his priorities in order.
Yes.
And look who's here.
See, yes. What he thought was going to happen. He thought they were going to beat Jacksonville State, and then he'd have the coronation at the end. They lost, so
we don't know.
Put that ring back in your pocket.
You know who knows what she's talking about this subject and everything else is Maria Taylor. Maria. The more things change, the more they stay the same. It is good to see your face. It's good to hear your voice. Feels like it was just yesterday,
It's so good
right?
to see you. Yeah, you're my brother from the exact same mother. Like, we grew up together. So I feel like I'm back on talking to my brother. It's good to see you. Both the Michaels together. I've been listening, and just so you know, if I was getting proposed to after a loss, I'd be like, well, no, I would actually prefer for you to have won one of the games. You know, I'm just personally, that would have been my initial reaction, but I'm different. You know,
that's right.
I'm different.
That's, no.
No,
that's not different. That makes a lot of sense.
You take your college football seriously. I'm disappointed. I just knew Maria was going to be on my side. You know,
I mean, I love you, Mike. You know I do.
No.
I love and appreciate you, but you couldn't have showed up with a ring. I'd be like, you could have left the ring at home for this one. I'd rather you have won, had no ring, then proposed to me, than have lost in the worst loss of the, any game in FSU history and showed up and thought, oh, I'm going to be the reason why you celebrate today. Like, not on today.
Okay. And you know what, Maria?
Maria,
you could even.
Welcome. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say, she should have told him, too. She should have said, look, let's look at the film first. Let's look at the film first to see if you're even worthy of presenting this ring. Because now you may have contributed to the loss.
You might have.
Don't bring that over here. Don't look for me to save your night.
Let us formally welcome Maria, key contributor to our NFL coverage now and our NFL coverage. We're teammates again, Maria, so it's really good to see you.
I know.
Been waiting to get you on, brother for another. Let's just dive right in, right there. Sunday Night Football. We were talking yesterday about what's at stake for Lamar Jackson in particular. And I'm not sure, maybe you got some insight from your reporting over the week. I'm sure you'll be all over this game on Sunday. But we were just talking about, of course the quarterbacks aren't playing against each other. They're not sharing the field at the same time. But when you're in that rarefied air, it is Lamar versus Patrick, regardless of how Lamar chooses, and rightfully so, to look at it as the Ravens versus the Chiefs. The time is now, if not now, a win for Lamar to beat Patrick Mahomes. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with you that obviously everyone is going to, including our coverage, is going to make it a conversation about these two quarterbacks that are two of the youngest quarterbacks to, ever win MVP. Lamar Jackson winning in 2019, that was huge. And that's how you end up in these conversations. So in a lot of ways, it's the respect that the entire league has for Lamar Jackson and the skill set that he's shown in the past. But at the same time, if you stepped on the field 3 times and each time you've lost to the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes was the guy orchestrating the offense, and you've even mentioned that, they are actually our kryptonite, which is something that he said in the post game a season ago. I mean, we're all going to be looking at the matchup between quarterbacks because it's a quarterback-driven league. But I think it's an opportunity for Lamar. Obviously, you're playing in Baltimore and coming off of a really, really, really tough loss to see how you handle and bounce back. And it's not like the Chiefs are perfect. There are going to be opportunities that the Ravens will have to take advantage of them. And we'll see whether or not they can pull off some of those opportunities.
Yeah. Hopefully he's got some receivers to throw to, Michael.
Yeah, definitely. Maria, I wonder if the obvious storyline is the storyline we should be paying attention to, or is there something else we're missing from this game? I mean, now you look at Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, that seems to carry it all by itself. But is that the story in the game that you're looking at, or is there another kind of nugget that we're missing?
I mean, I think the bounce back is a big story. And I think injuries, too, for Baltimore. Everyone's going to deal with them, obviously. It's a very long season. But to be sitting here looking at week 2 and having to deal with some of the losses they've had, who ends up filling in some of those roles? And you're giving new opportunities to names that we haven't heard or have been readily available. But I also think when we're talking about, different divisions, we always think of the Baltimore Ravens in that conversation for challenging to win. And so for the first time, we're like, well, maybe not, And so I think that this is an opportunity for them to have a statement win more than anything.
Maria, speaking of like high profile games, I thought your interview with Dak Prescott was really interesting because at that point, we had no idea what to expect. And as a matter of fact, Rodney Harrison came on and told Mike, he said, Michael Smith, man, I'm afraid for Dak because we haven't seen him in the preseason. I don't know what he's going to do. And Mike Smith said, yeah, he's going to be good. After you talked with Dak, not that you could predict the kind of game that he would have, but did you walk away from that interview saying, well, I think Dak Prescott's going to be all right based on my conversation with him?
Yeah, if you would have talked to me the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday leading up to that game, I would have said, he's going to be a rock star. Like after sitting down with him and listening to everything that Dak Prescott has been through, and I had the opportunity to cover him in college and be there the first time, he went into a game and got his first Egg Bowl win against Ole Miss all the way up to now when he's having to battle back from that horrific, ankle injury and losing his brother to suicide and his ability to talk openly about that, losing his mother in college to breast cancer and the way that he's turned all of those situations into an opportunity to give back to the community. He doesn't want anyone to deal with what he dealt with. And if you talk to Dak Prescott, he says, listen, I am the quarterback of the Cowboys for a reason, and I believe that it's so much bigger than football. So whenever you have somebody playing the game for something bigger than them, bigger than just trying to get an MVP, bigger than just the wins, and he's a very, very, very mature 28-year-old, I just kind of knew that everything from the shoulders up was going to be on point because Dak Prescott has all of the poise that you could ever ask for, the perfect demeanor for a quarterback. So I knew that if his body followed, then he would be great. And that's exactly what he proved, I thought, in week 1 against Tampa.
I am so glad that you mentioned your college football background, Maria, because I thought of you when I knew you were coming on the show. Well, I saw this over the weekend, and I knew you were coming on. I was like, oh, I gotta let Maria talk her trash about her second-ranked Georgia Bulldogs. Because, I'm trying to figure out, look, I like the turnover chains. I like the turnover celebrations. But where they do that at, where you have a dragon skull when you down 49. It should be like a cutoff. You saw UAB with the dragon skull against with the Bulldogs was beating down, right?
I'm almost disappointed that I was still watching the game at this point because really there was no reason. It was the game's in the bag. The starting quarterback wasn't playing. JT Daniels was hurt. And then I was like, what is happening? Is that a dinosaur? Does he have a dinosaur out on the sidelines? And I had to look at it. I was like, oh, they're Blazers, so I could see that thing was almost bigger than the player. But yeah, there should probably be a cutoff of some sort. I appreciate the enthusiasm. Listen, defenses don't get as much love as offenses. So I think the turnover chain and them trying to have something to celebrate is the reason why we're seeing it on the sidelines. That was a bit much. That belongs in a museum somewhere. The Met, I don't know, where dinosaur bones
and
are.
He looked like he was reluctantly doing it anyway. I want to stay in college with you, though, and it kind of merge, your worlds between, college and NFL. Because, I'm sure you've done some, research and interviews when it comes to Eric Bieniemy, and his name has come up for the now vacant, at least, beyond this season, USC head coaching job. James Franklin's name has come up. A lot of the usual suspects' names have come up. I'd love to know, just as somebody who's, got such a finger on the pulse of college football, where you see that program, what it needs from its next head coach, and whether it is a Bieniemy or a Franklin or somebody we're not even talking about that just in your expertise you feel like will be a great fit that USC should be looking at if they're not already.
I think that, USC is one of those traditional powers. So it actually reminds me of a Michigan or a Penn State they're one of those programs that if they're good, then the entire nation is going to be along for the ride, because you want to see a USC in the Rose Bowl. You want to hear fight on. You want the Trojans to be great. So I think that the person who shows up there just has to revitalize that energy. Obviously, it's been gone for the last few years because they've struggled out the gate and had some really tough losses, and the USC name doesn't carry as much weight as it used to. And so I think that maybe an Eric Bieniemy is the right decision, because you're trying something new. There's been a lot of opportunities for USC to choose another head coach, and it seems as though at every single step it hasn't been the right answer. So maybe going down a different avenue, bringing a guy from the NFL over will create some new excitement. Maybe that's just going to help in recruiting, because all of the tools are there. If you've been on USC's campus, it's incredible. They have an excellent academic program as well, but also, a lot of student athletes are trying to find different ways to use their social media to make money. And so if you're in the middle of LA, you're at USC, you have an opportunity to make money in a city where you could also be in a movie. You know what I'm saying? I think that the opportunity is there. They just got to get a guy who brings energy. And I see why even James Franklin's name comes up, and they got the whiteout game this weekend, but because he brought energy and revitalized a program that was kind of sinking and it was dead in the water. And so there's people are thinking maybe he can do the same thing at USC with the traditional power.
Maria, let's stay in college football. You got to tell me why my perspective is all wrong, because I'm not buying it anymore. I'm not falling for it. I root for the Ohio State Buckeyes, grew up in the great state of Ohio. So I always fall for it. Ohio State last year, I really thought they had a chance of beating Alabama. That game was over. It really was over before it started, but I realized it was over in the first half. So I'm not buying Alabama, big game, Alabama, Florida. No, I think Alabama is going to blow them out. Tell me that I need to be a little more careful and respect Florida. You got to tell me, because I don't believe it.
So here's what you need to do. First of all, as an Ohio State fan, you just are never challenged during the regular season, right? So I've always felt like you can't trust a team that hasn't been challenged during the regular season, whether that's been, say, a Clemson, even when they've won, national championships. They had to be so far
Shots fired at the Big Ten, though. I hear you.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's part of the Big Ten. It is what it is. If you're the perennial power in the Big Ten and that's what you are, then that's great. But then you run into an Alabama, it's like, wait a minute, not the offensive and the defensive line look like that. And no, they aren't rolling that deep. And maybe your starters can compete with the league. But what about the backups? You know what I mean? So it's just it's a different level. It's a different level. Texas, they'll find out when they get in the SEC. So that's the only thing. But I think that Florida's always got a chance to win. Every year when Georgia-Florida comes up, because huge Georgia fan, I'm like, they can beat us. We could be number 2, we could be number 1, doesn't matter. It's like, that's how good teams are in the SEC on any given night. And there's depth and there's athletes and there's great coaching, because everyone wants to coach in the league.
Bama by 30.
Maria,
you didn't convince me. Bama by 30.
Maria, we'll get you out on this. Listen, you and I, we got some catching up to do offline. But while I got you, I'm gonna just say, look, you literally hit the ground running. You were in Tokyo, now you're on the NFL. I just love to know how you are, how you're doing, just with the onboarding process. Hell, you probably ain't even got your benefits picked out yet. I just love to know how you're doing. It's really good to see you. Good to be teammates again. I love to know how you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And honestly, Michael, this is the first interview or time that I've been able to spend with anyone since just everything, so it's good to have a moment to sit and chat with a familiar face. And I've always wanted to say thank you to you anyway, because I think the first time I ever got to sit at a studio desk and be a host was on your show and being able to fill in. And so as someone who's spoken life to me and into me in the past, I believe that it's given me the strength to be here right now and being able to hit the ground running, like you said. But no, I have not had any onboarding. I'm really excited about the opportunity to just focus on something. So for the first time in my career, I get to cover the NFL, be in the NFL, be entrenched in a league, you know what I mean? And covering guys that I remember when they were freshmen in college all the way up to Lamar Jackson. I'm sitting in Louisville now because I'm going to host their basketball, their college basketball Night of the Stars. But I was here when Lamar Jackson had his coming out party. I was with Charlie Strong when he was like, no, this is the guy. And now I get to see them on Sunday Night Football. And so that's kind of been a really cool thing for me to experience. But certainly everything is brand spanking new. I'm excited to have balance. I'm excited to be on your team again. Hopefully I get to come back on this show, but I also appreciate the question.
Absolutely.
Just taking a second to talk about it.
You got an open invitation.
Anytime.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you. You were always a star. It was just a matter of the rest of the world learning that.
Well, you gave me the first opportunity, so it's all about opportunities, doors opening. So that's a big part of it. So I appreciate you.
And I know you're doing. Thank you for that. And I know you're doing the same. I know you've committed yourself to doing the same, for pulling people up yourself. So good to see you. Let's talk offline. We got a lot of catching up to do. We don't need to do it on camera. We can download each other.
For sure. Hit me up. The number hasn't changed since 6th grade, so whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
You had a phone in 6th grade?
Yeah, I did.
I was gonna say, wow. Don't tell.
I'm spoiled.
Don't tell my kids.
I'm spoiled. I admit it. It's fine. It's fine.
All good.